All right, so this is the answer key for the practice cards. And so we have 12 practice cards that we're looking at. So the first one here asks us to find the length of the radius of the circle. We are given these coordinates here of 15. So I've marked this side as 15 and 5. And so basically what we're looking for here then is the radius, which is for us the hypotenuse. And so we can do that by Pythagorean theorem. We have both of the legs, 15 squared and 5 squared. And so then when we square root that, that is going to give us 5 radical 10. For number 2, very similar problem. We are given this point here at x, and 80 is the y, so I've filled in that 80 is this measurement here. We are given that the radius is 82, and so I've filled that in for the hypotenuse there. And so we are looking for the x value. And so we have x squared plus 80 squared equals 82 squared. And that is going to give us x is equal to 18 when we complete the Pythagorean theorem. All right, number 3, we are looking to be able to solve for x in the figure. So if we look, we're looking at this triangle right here, this very small triangle. And so we know that this side is x, this side is 2, and this side is 2 times the square root of 10, which is also our hypotenuse. And so you can see I set up the Pythagorean theorem and solve for x, and x is 6. In number 4, we are looking for the height of the pyramid. So I've highlighted the little pyramid here, or the little triangle here, in yellow, because we know that this leg is 16 and we know the hypotenuse is 20, and so we can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for h, which is the height that we want to find. And so our h squared plus the 16 squared will equal 20 squared, and when we complete that, the height is going to be equal to 12. All right, on to the next page. Solve for the capital H in the figure, and it gives us a hint there that you will need to do the Pythagorean theorem twice. So I started up here in yellow and I highlighted this small triangle here, and I had this leg, which was 10, and I had this hypotenuse, which was 26, and that allowed me to be able to figure out this leg right here to be 24. Now, what that allowed me to do was that I was told that this part of this green triangle here was 10, and I now know that this hypotenuse of the green triangle is 24, and I can now solve for this height by using the Pythagorean theorem. My legs are the height and 10. The hypotenuse is what I found from this Pythagorean theorem, which is 24. So my h squared plus 16 squared is equal to 24. When I solve using Pythagorean theorem, I get that the height is equal to 2 times the square root of 119. All right, looking at problem number 6, we were given that we had one side here that was x, and then we were told that the hypotenuse is 3 more than twice the given leg. So here is twice the given leg and 3 more. The unmarked leg is 2 more than twice the given leg. So twice the given leg and 2 more. And so now I can look at this, and to set up the Pythagorean theorem, my legs are x squared and 2x plus 2 squared equal to my hypotenuse, which is 2x plus 3 quantity squared. So when I go to do this, I will need to make sure that I remember how to multiply a binomial. My first one's easy, that's just x squared, but when I go to multiply this out, remember that's 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 2. Whether you're using FOIL or distributive property or the box method, that is going to give us 4x squared plus 8x plus 4. Over here, 2x plus 3 squared, I'll need to multiply 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3. The result of that would be 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. And I am going to set this equal to 0. And when I do, I will get x squared minus 4x minus 5 equal to 0. And then I will factor. And when I factor, I'm only wanting the positive answer. So that's how I'm using the x is equal to 5. That would tell me this side is 5. If I do 2 times 5 plus 2, that'll give me 12. Tells me this side is 12. And then 2 times 5 plus 3 tells me that this side here is 13. Problem number 7 asks us to find the height of the triangle and then to find the area of the triangle. So if I started with this yellow here and said that what I had was a leg and a hypotenuse, and I was looking for this height. So 12 squared plus 8 squared is going to be equal to 8 times the square root of 3 squared. And so when I complete this solving for the height, I get that the height is 4 times the square root of 3. And knowing that that is 4 times the square root of 3, I'm now going to be able to take 1/2 the base, which was 24, times the height, which was 4 times the square root of 3, which will give me the area of the triangle, which is 48 times the square root of 3. All right, number 8 is a very, very similar problem. And so when we look at this one, once again, I highlighted this triangle over here. I could have highlighted this triangle over here. I just picked this as a starting point. I don't know this leg, that's my height. I do know this leg is 15 and this leg is 17, or this hypotenuse is 17. So I'm able to say that h squared is equal to 15 squared plus 17 squared. And that is going to give me that my height is 8. I was then asked to find the area. Area is going to be equal now to 1/2 times the height times the base. And so that's going to give me 120 centimeters squared. On our last 4 problems here, 9 and 10 are very similar. They ask us to determine the type of triangle formed with sides measuring 2 times the square root of 7, 10, and 12. And so when we start with those, remember that we have to figure out which is the larger of the 3 sides. That is what I put here in blue. So that was 12 squared, which is 144. The 2 smaller sides, when I square those and add those together, that's going to give me 128. Since 144 is greater than 128, this is obtuse. If we look at problem number 10, the larger side was 5 times the square root of 5. When I square that, that gave me 125. In the red here were my 2 shorter sides, and so when I took 5 squared and 10 squared and added those together, that gave me 125. Since these are the same, then this tells me this is a right triangle. In problem 11, it asks us to explain what is wrong with this figure below. And so, one of the things we start looking for is, is everything there a right triangle, since we have a right triangle in the problem. And so when I look at this triangle over here that I've highlighted in yellow, I can see that this 6 squared here is 36 and the 18 squared is 324. And when I square the 24, that gives me 576. And so the sum of the square of the legs does not equal the square of the hypotenuse. I could have just taken the 6 plus the 18 and got 24. And if 24 equaled 24, then I would know immediately that it's not a right triangle. Our last one here, we were told that this whole side here was 98 and this was x. So then this part here had to be 98 minus x. And if this is congruent to this, then this had to be 98 minus x. And so then what I did was look at this small triangle here and say that the side or the leg is x squared. This leg is 70, so I square that. And then this hypotenuse would be 98 minus x quantity squared. So that's where I'm either doing FOIL, distributive property, or box method to multiply that out. When I do, this is the result. And what happens is, since I have an x squared on this side and an x squared on this side, the x squared cancels out and this is no longer a quadratic. So I just need to solve for x, and x will equal 24.